Good morning. The present research is titled From Virtual to Actual Cleaning, a comprehensive decision-making methodology for the restoration of a polychrome paper-mâché sculpture. During the 18th and 19th centuries, scientific and technological advances gave rise to the creation of three-dimensional artificial anatomical artifacts composed of different materials as an alternative to replace natural specimens. However, with the passage of time, these collections have been abandoned and forgotten for various reasons, so that many of them are currently in a critical state of preservation. Therefore, the present research is motivated by the need to adapt specific documentation and intervention strategies to specific and complex cases. These innovative approaches must pursue more effective, safer, and less invasive solutions. In this sense, 3D digital technologies have had a considerable impact in the field of cultural heritage, providing new research tools to be able to understand, interpret, safeguard, and disseminate our heritage legacy. In general, in each of the applications, there is usually a greater or lesser lack in the workflows, being the applications marked in orange the ones that require a more exhaustive investigation. In this research, we have focused on the virtual cleaning process, as it requires a deeper understanding of the operational methods as well as validating their effectiveness with interventions on the real model. Considering the analyzed needs, the research hypothesis suggests that the use of 3D digital techniques can provide conservation and restoration professionals with solutions to analyze and address complex problems in artificial anatomical artifacts. The main objective is to examine the various applications and advantages of technologies such as photogrammetry and virtual restoration to improve decision-making processes prior to physical intervention on artifacts. The methodology of the experimental phase consisted of digitization by means of photogrammetry, where specific parameters and photographic capture strategies were established. Once the models were obtained, pathology mapping and virtual cleaning tests were carried out. Once these phases were completed, the results were analyzed to complement the decision-making process for the intervention in the real work. At all times, there has been a constant review and relationship between the virtual restoration criteria and the specific intervention criteria for this type of piece to ensure maximum precision, safety, and respect for the real work. As for the intervention phase, chemical analyses of the surface dirt and oxidized varnish film were previously carried out. Then, cleaning tests were carried out with different aqueous systems, previously analyzing the wetting and measuring the pH and electrical conductivity of the surface. Subsequently, tests were also carried out with organic solvents to ensure the most appropriate treatment for the work. The selected anatomical model belongs to the commercial house of Dr. Ozu and is currently in the Javier Puerta Anatomy Museum of the Complutense University of Madrid. It faithfully represents an enlarged human tongue using polychrome papier-mâché. The model consists of 5 detachable pieces joined by metal anchors. Each piece is labeled with a number indicating the disassembly sequence along with a hand symbol indicating the manipulable piece. A rotational approach was used for the photogrammetric survey using a rotating platform in a controlled lighting environment. 24 images were taken during each rotation with a total of 10 rotations at different heights. Photographs were taken in RAW format along with an X-Rite color checker card and 4 scales from Cultural Heritage Imaging. Prior to digital development, a camera profile for color management was created using Color Checker Passport software to generate an ICC profile. In Adobe Camera Raw, the created profile was applied and the white balance was adjusted using the neutral gray of the color card. The images were finally exported in TIFF format. On the other hand, photogrammetric models were generated using Agisoft Metashape professional software. Masks were created for each of the images within the software, and then the usual workflow was followed based on the orientation of the photographs, the generation of the mesh using the depth maps, and then the projection of the photographs onto the surface of the mesh to generate the color texture. The initial application on the photogrammetric model consisted of creating 3D pathology maps and performing a detailed diagnosis with Substance 3D Painter software. The analysis revealed significant wear of the polychrome layers, misalignments, volume losses, and deformations caused by humidity and temperature fluctuations, as well as improper handling during assembly and disassembly. Mechanical stresses caused cracks and fissures of various sizes. The sculpture had a dull appearance with a grayish hue due to the accumulation of atmospheric particles and grease deposits from the fingers. The gelatin layer used as a protective film for the polychromy softened with the high temperatures, leading to further accumulation of dirt. In addition, historical interventions in the 20th century, such as irregular varnishing with a natural resin and repainting, significantly affected the aesthetic appearance of the artifact and compromised its conservation. These actions left visible traces on the model, posing a serious threat to its conservation. For all these reasons, the original state of the work was evaluated by means of a virtual cleaning. Using Adobe Substance 3D Painter software, the RGB and HSV pixel values in the color texture were measured using the eyedropper tool on the base color model. The measurements were performed in areas with surface dirt, oxidized varnish film, and clean areas to establish a reference for the cleaning process. Once the measurements were completed, a cleaning test was performed using the paint and clone brushes with an overlay mixing mode. In areas where the artifact had dense layers of surface dirt, oxidized varnish, and repainting, the clone tool was used. However, the paint tool was predominantly used to clean the entire piece. Throughout the virtual cleaning process, RGB and HSV values were constantly monitored to maintain accuracy and fidelity. These values were compared to the initial measurements of the reference clean areas to ensure consistency. After completing the virtual surveys, significant improvements in the aesthetic appearance of the work were achieved. Therefore, taking into account its vivid original colors, it was decided to restore the artifact to restore its original appearance and stop the deteriorations. Before proceeding with the interventions, chemical tests were carried out to identify the specific particles that made up the layer of surface dirt and oxidized varnish that should be removed. Analysis revealed the presence of small bands indicative of gypsum in the surface dirt layers. In addition, calcite and sulfates may also be present on the surface. As for the varnish layer, it was identified as a triterpene resin of the almaphatic type. With these factors in mind, two cleaning systems were devised, one using aqueous solutions to remove surface dirt and the other using organic solvents to remove the oxidized varnish film. Before formulating the aqueous systems, the surface tension was evaluated using the Cecil drop technique. This method consisted of depositing precise drops on the surface using a micropipette. Initially, the droplet presented a contact angle greater than 90 degrees for a maximum of 30 seconds. However, this angle decreased after 40 seconds, indicating slight hydrophilic characteristics of the surface. After the surface tension evaluation, pH and electrical conductivity values were measured at various points on the surface. Agarose gel discs prepared with deionized water and a methylparaben base were used for this purpose. Each disc was sterilized and placed in the designated area with sterilized forceps after disinfection with pure ethanol. The disc was then rinsed with deionized water before being placed in the apparatus for measurement. An average electrical conductivity of 207 and a pH of 5 and 60 were recorded. From the results obtained, several aqueous systems were formulated as shown in the table. Several tests were carried out and the formulation consisting of citric acid applied by steam engine gave the best results. It is important to note that the effectiveness of these systems varied depending on the location, as the surface dirt had formed a body with the original gelatin film or with the layers of the varnish applied later. As for the removal of the triterpene resin, it was considered appropriate to test the Cremonesi test based on the binary combination of neutral organic solvents with isoctane, acetone, and ethanol according to their degree of polarity. Of the 6 solutions tested, isoctane and ethanol concentrations gave better results. As a result, a hybrid cleaning system was ultimately employed. Although the aqueous systems proved ineffective in some areas but satisfactory in others, it was decided to give priority to the removal of removable dirt by first using these systems. Subsequently, organic solvents were used to remove both the varnish and the surface dirt adhering to it. Both systems were carefully applied to ensure that the original gelatin film remained unaltered, which was a crucial consideration during the cleaning process. Here you can see the initial state of conservation and the final result after cleaning. Upon completion of the restoration, the artifact underwent a new photogrammetry-based digitization using the same materials, lighting conditions, and capture parameters initially used. This facilitated a direct comparison between the results of the virtual cleaning and those obtained during the restoration process. The RGB pixels were remeasured in the same reference areas initially used for the cleaning control. The comparative analysis validates the workflow by demonstrating a 95% efficiency in terms of fidelity and quality of the virtual restoration. In conclusion, digitization using photogrammetry together with the meticulous capture, lighting, and color management strategies applied have ensured maximum fidelity in the reproduction of the artifact. This facilitated accurate pathological mapping and thorough virtual cleaning. The relationship between the virtual restoration criteria and the specific intervention criteria for this type of work improved the rigor, accuracy, and efficiency of all the virtual studies. These factors were crucial in augmenting the decision-making process before undertaking interventions in the actual restoration. Thank you very much.